Hi friends, now we are on the fifth lecture of consciousness. We have discussed uh, neuroscience approach, we have discussed integrated information theory, it's a critique also we have discussed. Now we will go into the this modern approach. There are three research internationally being performed world over, and we will discuss only salient features of those research, because it is not possible to cover the even if we want to give the core module. So you can say it will be introduction to this research. There are some mathematical formulation, but will remain at superficial level, because half an hour is not sufficient to cover everything. And probably if you feel like, you can refer these chapters in my book, and maybe you get more details. So, and specifically for this lecture, we are around the quantum mechanics theory and how it is helping understanding of the consciousness. So, quantum mechanics approach to consciousness. Probably let us applause for Erwin Schrödinger, who gave us Schrödinger equation, and that was the starting point for quantum mechanics research actually. And now we are having many applications of quantum mechanics. Schrödinger equation, we will see in the slide, is very important for throwing light. Schrödinger equation, and along with that the double-slit experiment. These two things, they use you can say favor to us towards understanding of the consciousness. There are three approaches that we will be discussing. One is orchestrated objective reduction, OR approach it is called. Second one is pre-Born holoflux model, and then unified field theory of consciousness. And then summary and conclusion we will give in the last slide. Superpositions. Now in quantum mechanics we should know this at least selected phenomena like superposition, then wave function collapse, entanglement, wave particle reality. Why? Because these are the major finding of quantum, and now it has been demonstrated also, like entanglement of particle. In a very recent research, it has been proven that particles are subparticles are connected, and any change in one particle position reflects, and it doesn't matter what is the distance. So this is called entanglement. Superposition, particle exists in multiple states simultaneously. Wave function collapse, also called reduction of the state vector, occurs when a wave function initially in superposition of several eigen states reduces to a single eigen state due to interaction with the external world. So this is called like in when we visually see in double-slit experiment, we see only two slits, two bands. But actually, when we have a recording thing, then we will see some spectrum is available. So that is something it explains. Wave particle duality. This clarifies electrons. So and it also clarifies that sometimes they are in wave state, wave function, sometimes they are in particle state, and this is where you can tell the probability where the electrons will be there, and you cannot pinpoint its location. So these are the rich dividends we have from quantum mechanics theory. So first we will give a before the quantum mechanics came into existence, we had classical Newtonian era, and there it was all like, if you think, quantum mechanics entered as a multi-scale modeling phenomena. That means at micro scale or at physical level, the phenomena will be different, but when the size of the particle goes on reducing, it behaves in a different way, which quantum mechanics can model, but classical mechanics cannot model. Multi-scale phenomena, classical mechanics operate at ordinary scale, but not adequate at subatomic levels. And how to understand quantum mechanics? The branch of mechanics that deal with the mathematical description of the motion and interaction of subatomic particles, incorporating the concept of quantization of energy. That means it says energy comes in packet, wave particle duality, the uncertainty principle and corresponding principle. This is what our Oxford dictionary that I have borrowed from there, and of course from Wikipedia also. And then double-slit experiment I have not shown classically, but in nutshell, we are moving from classical at a level of understanding of atom to Schrodinger equation, where we have energy of particle, and this is a wave function, and we are trying to give this is a kinetic part of the energy, and this is a potential part of the energy. And then we have this Planck constant, that is 6.6 × 10⁻30. H is the Planck constant, m is the mass of the particle, x is the space variable, and then we have this Schrodinger equation. The quantum mechanics is a fundamental theory that describes the behavior of nature at and below the scale of atoms. It is a foundation of all quantum physics, which includes quantum field theory, quantum technology and quantum information science. There has been an assertion of David Chalmers that material based approach may not be able to help in defining the understanding of consciousness. So, this is where David Chalmers' assertion, Indian spiritual assumption, they come and meet and they say there is a world beyond material level. And understanding thought, emotion, awareness requires an approach that enables a deep down scale where material ceases and the entities play dominant role, whatever is the entity we have over here. Okay. So, after this background, let us discuss in short OR approach. Orchestrated reduction is the approach proposed by Sir Roger Penrose, Nobel laureate in physics, and Stuart Hameroff. These two together they have proposed this approach, and OR's theory said that attempt to explain how quantum mechanics processes in the brain results in consciousness is in the human brain. This theory was proposed by Penrose and Hameroff and has its premise in the biological philosophy of mind that postulates that consciousness originates at the quantum level inside neuron rather than between the neurons, and that too in the microtubules. Okay. The moment of conscious awareness is orchestrated by microtubules in the neurons in the brain. In the OR, the mechanism is held to be quantum process called objective reduction, that is orchestrated by cellular structure, the microtubule. So, microtubule remains the central piece of OR approach, and this is they differ from the earlier idea where the consciousness emerges. OR has been considered as objective reduction in non-computable computable for physical source of consciousness. Okay. Further, objective reduction occurs when the eigenstates of the quantum superposition differ by minuscule space-time factor. This is a very important observation because this mechanics is required to have an experience of consciousness. Further, the consideration of OR that superposition must collapse, we discussed superposition, what it means, must collapse within a specific time to avoid losing its quantum nature. This is referred to as reduction time. Okay, and how reduction time is related to the self energy has been given. So you have Eg is the self gravity energy, and then time. This is a tau T factor, Planck's constant, and finally where Eg is defined by this equation. Eg in turn is a function of gradient of eigenstates. H is a Planck's constant and G is a gravitational constant. Okay. So, this is how this tau factor has been explained over here. The major conclusion of this research are, we will not go into the details, but we will write the conclusions. Consciousness is a process in the structure of universe connected to the brain via quantum computation in microtubules. Most of the ancient literature in India, it is again claiming that consciousness is not playing out at the level of brain, but it is playing out at the universal level, and it is the phenomena which exist actually now as part of non-duality. So, then OR based primitive feeling in the new universe may be prompted the origin of the life and driven its. So, they are going beyond this and talking about life and its evolution. Resonating brain microtubules with transcranial ultrasound can safely and painfully improve mood and offer premise for Alzheimer's. In fact, the focus of this research has been in healthcare, especially regarding Alzheimer's disease, and which even the root cause of these things have yet to be found, and this is where this OR has given a very important contribution. Now, Prebaum-Born, these are the two scientists, and they have given a holoflux model. Holoflux model means going from one domain to a lower level where the things change drastically. This has been through the atomic particle. Here you can see that. First we will go through Prebaum models concept of implicate order. The implicate order and explicate order, these two things they have considered, and they are trying to explain what happens in explicate order, that is much below the range and certain range, that is 10 to the minus 32, and how the properties changes. The implicate and explicate order are ontological concept for quantum theory coined by theoretical physicist David Bohm during the early 80s, and the implicate order is seen as a deeper and more fundamental order of reality. In contrast, the explicate order includes the abstraction that human normally. So, in next slide I will explain this, but the Prebaum model holographic theory of consciousness proposed that consciousness manifests as energy and consciousness resonates between the two domains, the space-time explicate and the spectral implicate. Okay. So, that means beyond spectral implicate means beyond material domain. The consciousness has been considered to be formed by the quantum effects between the brain cells in holographic brain theory of neuroscience. Fine. Now, let us see, before we go to the other slide which gives us in-depth understanding of explicate and implicate orders. Let us say for our purpose the nucleus is over here where the protons are okay. So, we have this as atom, yellow boundary, then we have nucleus. So, atom is of the order of 10 to the minus 10 meter, nucleus is 10 to the minus 14 meter. So, we have this nucleus, and there is a proton further down 10 to the minus 15, a proton is here, and then it is just a relative scale that we are seeing. Electron 10 to the minus 18 meters, and it is revolving around the nucleus. Okay. And if we go to this side, after atom we have molecule which is 10 to the minus 9 meter, and then virus, living entity 10 to the minus 7 meters. So, this visualization of explicate order of center everywhere. Okay. Now, we will go to the what we are trying to understand by implicate order and explicate order. Okay. So, if we have the Planck constant 10 to the minus 32 meter is the Planck length. Okay. So, below this is implicate order, where we are dealing in frequency domain, and here we are space type domain. Okay. So, here space time ceases to occur, it is the frequency which plays over the role, and 10 to the minus 10 to the power 25 meter is dia of the universal, 10 to the power 20 is the meter is the dia of Milky Way, and all various dimensions have been given starting from electron dia. Okay, and further is going up, but below that it is a implicate order. Okay, and as I mentioned, Planck's constant is in meters, it is minus 35, 1.6 to 10 an odd figure into 10 to the minus 35, and in time domain it is minus 44. David Bohm, in a pre-Bohm model, this present undivided wholeness and implicates and explicate order. So, this is the presentation that we have over here in this. This thesis emerges from an integral evaluation of evidence drawn from the source, the holomic mind-brain theories of Carl pre-Bohm. The second, the ontological interpretation of quantum theory of David Bohm, and third, the hyperphysics of consciousness developed by Pierre Teilhard de Chardin, applying an integrated methodology to superimpose and correlate the seemingly disparate. This leads to the pre-Bohm Hololux model. Okay, you have this model over here, and finally, what we say, if we have this is called model of everything. Okay, because here it operates in the spectral domain. Here we have spectral domain, and here we have a space type domain. Okay, and this is a explicate order, and this is implicate order, and this is a Fourier transform, and consciousness. What pre-Bohm theory says, the consciousness spreads from this level to this level, mega level to the Planck constant level or below that, and it exists in the form of, and this the variables are x plus infinity to minus infinity for the differentiation with respect to integration with respect to t, and then we have exponential minus f 2 pi f t. This is a formulation that we have, and it goes, it can have, it can touch upon both the sides. So, the Planck's action constant horizontal is 1.6 and 10 to the minus 35, that is the basis for this theory. Okay, so the implicate order is seen as a deeper and more fundamental. In contrast, the explicate order unfolds under order include the abstraction that human normally pursue. In the unfolded or implicate order, space-time are no longer the dominant factors determining the relationship of dependence or independence of different elements. So, what we have here is the unfolded, and this is unfolded things. Okay. Now, the last in this section is unified field theory of consciousness, and every theory you see that you are converging towards the ancient knowledge that was there, dots that were there, and now in the unified field theory, see, it starts with comparing with the classical physics, the strong nuclear force, electromagnetic force, weak force, and gravitational force were considered to be fundamental force. This is the classical interpretation or understanding of the forces. The unified theory, the unified theory allows all that thought of a fundamental force and elementary particles to be written in the form of physical and virtual fields. And this we will see through this standard model of elementary particle in gravity. Therefore, the modern physics, all the four fundamental forces are mediated by fields which is the standard model particle physics as shown in figure this thing. So, you can say the fermion at the material level, and then the boson which are there. Now, gauge boson and scalar bosons, and of course, tensor we have over here. So, the exchange particle gluon meditates the strong nuclear force between neutron, proton and the atomic particle nucleus. Instead, while the electromagnetic interaction, the photon acts as the exchange particle. Okay. And then in electromagnetic interaction, the photon acts as the exchange particle, you can see here. And then the weak force responsible for radioactivity mechanism mediated by W and Z photons. Okay. So, we have here W and Z photons, all those we talked about here in the material domain and all that. So, here we have lepton, quarks, and further primitive particles and their spin, everything has been given in this chart, and this is how there is a postulation of exchange particle gravitation that facilitate the gravitational force. In standard model, all the fundamental particles, fermions, can be seen on the left side. So, we have fermions as shown in the right referred group of gluons, bosons and all those things. Okay. And then the standard model provides the foundation of unified field theory in quantum mechanics. Now, what is unified field theory? Let us have a peep into it. Okay. And this has been proposed by Dr. Hangelin, and which says consciousness and unified field is research. It says Hangelin postulates an analogy between unified field theory and that of the self unified existence, and asserts that this state of consciousness benefits human attitude through experiments in controlled lab environment. So, here we have a unified field the way Hangelin perceived it. Okay. It is interesting to note that the Vedic Upanishad approach to consciousness is that the fourth stage of consciousness is achieved by transcendental meditation program, enables the conscious mind to identify itself with the unified field or union with the higher self. Okay. So, this postulation is there, and probably Hangelin has his inspiration from this particular knowledge. Hangelin further discussed whether the consciousness is, like unified field in physics is ultimate reality with the consideration of string theory. He has extended to string theory also, while pointing the limitation in classical physical, where the limit to explore unified field theory is limited by microscopic dimension, while quantum mechanics through the argument of quantum field provides a elegant mechanism to model the unified field. The consciousness model, in consciousness model, the unified field is characterized by ocean of intelligence, dynamics and infinite silence, and there is a no material at the only at the vibration wave energies can be depicted by this figure. So, this is all is the essence of Hangelin's proposition of unified theory of consciousness. So, what are the conclusions? Hangelin concludes on the question pure consciousness, the unified field theory, and put forth the argument in favor of unified field theory and consciousness based on the analogy he discussed and evidence that he found in as follows. There is a quantitative correspondence between pure consciousness and unified field, number one. Number two, experimentally observed data shows the long range field effect of consciousness. Probably if you look at one of his YouTube presentation, you will get this idea what he is talking about. Details are there in this certain classical siddhis, supernatural abilities, when demonstrated, place consciousness unambiguously in the level of unified field theory. Philosophical and neuroscientific challenges have their own premise in derivative of matter. Now, for what is the takeaway for this presentation? In CQB model, the consciousness has been considered as fundamental attribute of human. The Hagelin's model has direct relevance to human factor modeling in risk conscious ecosystem. In fact, the limitation of quantum field theory does not directly affect the applicability to human factor improvement. So, this is the takeaway for or as a conclusion for CQB modeling. Now, summary, if I have to summarize this whole 5 chapters, what we are trying to argue out is consciousness is fundamental to human existence, no doubt. Consciousness manifests at 5 level, and probably till we have new theory, we should not be disregarding the theory which has come out from ancient knowledge or Vedic knowledge at 5 levels. And then an integrated approach is envisaged that applies the best of the insights. So, they take the knowledge from the historical thing and from the modern science and work towards defining the consciousness. The major attribute of consciousness that form directly part of the risk conscious culture are awareness, alertness, focus, concentration, attitude and conscience. In fact, with this the model has been, mathematical model has been created. The consciousness qualities called the qualia that refers to the intuition, feeling, emotion are considered to be having physical basis of the purpose of outcome. The higher attribute of consciousness that need to be developed by cultivated through spiritual process and requires special attitude of environment. For example, the yoga and meditation as an integral part of life. Further, human interact with the outside world through sensory organs, and that is has been said in the second bullet also. Humans share consciousness in family or nation, so we can call it human consciousness, family consciousness, or national consciousness, city consciousness, country consciousness and world consciousness. The 6 stimulus, 5 stimulus, seeing, listening, smelling and speed and taste and sensation, actually it should be 5, are the source of external. Of course, the 6th one is the mind, which I have not written here. So, 5 stimulus and 1, it is written here, 1 mind. So, because mind in itself is a stimuli, it can wander around, it can visualize, it can imagine, it can dream. So, this itself is a very important stimuli. Human constitution have voluntary, autonomous and non-voluntary function. Involuntary function activities are breathing and whatever we know, nervous system control and intrinsic and everything. So, these are the involuntary activities. Okay. While walking, talking and all, they are active activities. So, autonomous and non-voluntary activities that we distinguish here. Human brain faculties give rise to cognitive functions or activities, learning, sensation, listening, and these are important from our RCOM model. Okay. Human mind is product of brain, even though brain is material entity, the mind comprises of thought and information. The prana is essential to enable life force in human, but acquired consciousness enables quantitative and motor functions. So, with this we complete this lecture. Thank you.